The research results seemed conclusive. Dr. Xal'eth's 50-year study had proven that humans possess the lowest average intelligence of any spacefaring species. As he prepared to publish his career-defining paper, he decided to run one final verification. What he discovered that night would shatter everything he thought he knew about intelligence itself. Dr. Xal'eth was the galaxy's leading expert on comparative intelligence. His crystalline form pulsed with accumulated knowledge as he reviewed 50 years of research. The findings on humans were disappointing, but unsurprising. This young species scored in the bottom percentile across every cognitive assessment. Where other species solved problems efficiently, humans took forever and reached suboptimal solutions. Humans demonstrate irrational decision-making and chaotic thinking patterns, he had noted. Their problem-solving lacks the elegance of evolved species. His colleagues agreed. It explained human behavior, their messy politics, inefficient technologies, random approaches to everything. The Galactic Intelligence Battery tested 12 cognitive areas. Humans failed spectacularly at most. Andromedans solved mathematical proofs in minutes. Humans took hours. Centaurians demonstrated perfect logic. Humans made intuitive leaps ignoring evidence. Crystalline entities optimized resources flawlessly. Humans made wasteful, random choices. Subject H, 7742, spent 14 minutes on a simple problem any child could solve in 2, Dr. Xal'eth recorded. When asked to explain his method, he said, "I had a feeling." No logic. Pure emotional conjecture. The data was overwhelming. Humans had achieved spaceflight through luck, not intelligence. The cognitive limitations of Homo sapiens would be Dr. Xal'eth's masterwork. 50 years of research proving humans were cognitively inferior to every other spacefaring species. The paper would revolutionize xenopsychology and probably end human participation in advanced scientific collaborations. As he prepared the final draft, something nagged at him, a small inconsistency he couldn't identify. That night, Dr. Xal'eth reviewed the raw test recordings, not processed data, but actual footage of humans taking assessments. The first recording stopped him cold. Subject H3891 was working on resource optimization. She scored poorly. Too slow, suboptimal solution. But watching the footage, she wasn't just solving the problem. She was questioning it. Why are resources limited? What happens to groups that don't get allocations? Have we considered alternative generation methods? The proctor had dismissed these as irrelevant, but Dr. Xal'eth realized she'd identified fundamental flaws in the test design itself. Recording after recording revealed the same thing. Humans weren't failing the tests. They were transcending them. Subject H1247 spent 40 minutes on a 5-minute logic puzzle. But instead of finding one correct answer, he found 17 solutions, including 3 that revealed errors in the puzzle's construction. Subject H5639 failed strategic planning by refusing constraints. This assumes rational opponents. But what if they're desperate or insane? Subject H8934 scored 0 on pattern recognition, because he'd discovered the patterns were artificially generated and identified the algorithm creating them. These weren't intellectually inferior behaviors. These were minds operating on different principles. By dawn, Dr. Xal'eth had reviewed hundreds of recordings. The truth was terrifying. Humans didn't score poorly because they were stupid. They scored poorly because they refused to accept limitations other species took for granted. Andromedans found optimal solutions within parameters. Humans questioned why those parameters existed. Centaurians followed logic to conclusions. Humans asked what if the logic was wrong. Crystalline entities maximized efficiency. Humans imagined different systems entirely. The Galactic Intelligence Standard was actually measuring compliance. How well could species follow instructions and work within frameworks? Humans consistently rejected the frameworks themselves. Dr. Xal'eth's hands trembled as he understood the implications. Humans weren't intellectually inferior. They operated on a completely different cognitive level. Every other species achieved spaceflight by perfecting existing technologies. Humans did it by breaking and rebuilding their assumptions about what was possible. Every species joined galactic civilization by learning its rules. Humans seemed incapable of following rules they hadn't personally decided made sense. "We've been measuring their ability to think like us," he whispered. "But what if our thinking is the limitation?" Dr. Xal'eth stared at his completed paper. Publishing the truth would be too dangerous. Humans weren't the galaxy's least intelligent species. They might be its most intelligent. But their intelligence wasn't about finding right answers. It was about questioning whether the questions were worth asking. He deleted the paper. His new conclusion: humans demonstrate cognitive patterns incompatible with standard assessment protocols. Further study inadvisable. The real findings went into a classified file marked Extinction Risk, because if humans ever understood how their minds compared to everyone else's, they wouldn't just change galactic civilization. They would replace it entirely. The galaxy's stupidest species was actually its most dangerous, and they had no idea. Some truths were too terrible to reveal. The humans would continue being underestimated and dismissed. That was the only thing keeping the galaxy safe from what they might become if they realized their true potential.